This is how to set up and use your Samsung Galaxy Watch 5 Pro for exercise and fitness tracking and comparison to a Polar Ignite watch. Before I start exercising, I want to have these set up. So there's the Polar watch, 83 beats a minute. It's be a little bit awkward, but there is my Samsung watch. Now, since the Polar watch is tracking my heart rate continuously, I want that to be the same on the Samsung, so I'm going to go to the settings. I'm going to go to Samsung Health, and in the heart rate it says measure continuously, so that's what I want. Okay. Now I need to get a face that shows my heart rate. So go to my wearables, watch settings, watch faces, and I really liked this one. Let's customize it. Complication 1. Sure, monogram, whatever. Complication 2, let's do the EKG. Then complication 4, actually I'd rather that one be the heart rate. And then I'll make complication 3 my blood oxygen. All right, now we can see I've got my EKG over here, I've got my blood oxygen, and I've got my heart rate. So I've got all the settings I need, and they're both constantly reading my heart rate. Okay, so I want to get set up for my exercises, so I'm going to swipe out from the right. There's this little heart thing, and then here's what I want for my exercises. So get rid of walking, get rid of running, get rid of cycling. I'm going to add swimming. I want to add, see if they have one for weightlifting. Weight machines, close enough. And then the other thing I might do, let's put kayaking. Okay, so I've got the 3 things I do most. It's going to be swimming, weight machines, and kayaking. Now, if I go to swim, okay, so that's good. Let's get there. Now, besides these main 3, you can hit the More button, and it brings up some of the other icons that you can scroll through, and you can also add at the end of it from that same menu we were just looking at. If you want to go for a walk, swipe over. Since walking isn't one of my primary ones anymore, I go to walking, and I go to my settings. Now, you have a target feature on this, which if I want to have a target, I can turn it on, and I can set it by time, distance, or calories. And what happens is when it goes off, the timer or the target, then the watch will vibrate at you so that you know what's going on, that you've hit your point. And so if you want duration, let's say I wanted to walk just, like 20 minutes away and then have it buzz at me so I turn around and come home, I can do that. And I'll just leave it off for now. So that's how you use the target function, the workout screen. It says all the little parameters here. You've got duration, distance, steps, calories, average speed, and speed. Now you can break those out into a second data screen if you want. And then for each of those you can change. So I could do a smaller, simpler one. That way, if I want to go ahead and do the most complex one so that it puts it all on one screen. Then I have my heart rate zone screen, and you can't modify that at all. You also have the auto detect workouts. So sometimes when it sees you walking for a few minutes, it'll say, hey, it looks like you're walking. We're going to go ahead and start a walking workout. And then we're going to tap to skip, and we'll go ahead and start. Now, you'll notice a couple things here. You can go left, and you can pause your workout, start new settings, or finish it. You can also swipe to the right, and it'll put you to your music function on your phone. So I could start playing music. And my workout's going, and it does say pause because I'm standing still, but it gives the parameters. It's got the GPS icon, so it's going to tell me that it'll track distance. And then there's my heart rate. Now you'll notice it's got all these shades of orange and red. It's not multicolored like the Polar was. While exercising, you'll see what zone you're in on the Samsung, but it's still not as nice as that multicolor tachometer for heart rate on the Polar. It does say the average and maximum, but I do like the graphic of the Polar a lot better. If I want to go for a walk, start activity, the walking, I see my really nice multicolor tack at the top of the screen saying where my heart rate and what zone it's in. And that's right at the top with my distance, my pace, and my duration. And then I can go over here. My max is at the top, my average is down there in my current one. And I can also have just the big duration there. Take Fuzzball for a little walk around the block. 0.26 miles. There's a little chart. I'm all in the yellow for this one because it was a low heart rate. And there's the map. I just took a quick walk around the block. And then you can show on your phone, and it shows up right there. There's my walk, 2.6 miles. It shows around the block. Average speed, highest elevation even. All kinds of parameters. Paused, hold it, recording stopped, yes, save it, and exactly 0.26 miles, so they're synced that way. I do like the quick heart rate for the max and average. I do like the little color zones for how long you spend in each zone. Calories, time. Speed zones too for walking, that's interesting. Altitude as well. Now if I want to look at this one on my phone, it's been a while so it's syncing. And there's walking, but there we go. It's 0.26 miles, the time, heart rate, calories, elevation, and then that shows your heart rate. Again, it's got the different colors that I'm used to that are easier to differentiate than just oranges and reds and yellows. And there's my little map from the Polar. If you want to go hiking, scroll to the left again. It's not one of my 3 primary, so I hit more. I find the little hiker. Settings, and again, you can set a target if you want. Just your workout screen, same kind of things, except you'll notice this one has altitude now as well. Back out of that. It says the GPS, so you know it's going to track distance. And there we go. We've got distance and we have altitude now, which is different than just the walk. You're going to have your heart rate as before. For the Polar, you'll use the walk function. And off for my little hike. And there's the hiking summary with the elevation and the heart rate and the map. Going to the Samsung, view history of exercise and our hiking. And there shows the 44 minutes, 1460 feet, 2.31 miles, and there is the map. The heart rate map now includes not only speed, which you see stays pretty consistent minus this burst where I tried to jog a little bit, but the heart rate kind of follows the elevation. So right there, the elevation kind of flattened out, and so my heart rate dropped for that period. Gives my average speeds, delta and elevation, and then it also says down here that my lowest elevation, highest, and it says total ascent, half a mile and half a mile down. And here's the Polar Watch summary at the end. The heart rate and all the other parameters. calories, pace, speed zones, cadence, altitude. The hike I just did, 2.32 miles, 44 minutes, 37 seconds. 2.32 miles. It's my heart rate, 131 max. Got the pace, 280 foot ascent. It's 1440 feet for an altitude. 340 down. I don't know how it can go up 280 and down 340 if I end up in the same place, but okay. There's my heart rate, and there's my map. Now it's time to lift weights. Go to the weight machine because it's one of my primaries. Settings, again, you have a target, your workout screen, pretty limited because you're not going a distance. And that also, you don't see a GPS up here. It's not tracking your distance. So when you're ready to go, skip, and that's all you see is duration and calories. And then you'll have your heart rate here. And for whatever reason, mine has lost contact, which is disturbing. So let's exit out. Any of these watches, you have to really watch the, see now like on the main screen here, it's saying 76, 77, so it's adjusting okay, but it might be losing contact a little bit. So sometimes you want to just readjust it, slide it up or whatever you need to do. But if you're questioning it, watch and make sure the number's fluctuating. As long as the number's fluctuating, it's reading okay.
Time to pump the iron.
Workout we just did. And you can see how it turns the different shades of reds and orange as it gets higher. There's no map, of course, because you don't need it this time. And show on the phone again. There's your heart rate. Shows time in each of those ranges. The heart zones. So you can see this one only says 214 calories versus the other one. And it shows a much lower heart rate as well. Strength training. Our same parameters here, time, calories, heart rates, etc. And there's your heart rate graph as well. For swimming, there's a couple options. One of them is the indoor swimming, which is just called swimming. So if you hit that and you go to settings, what it does is it gives you a length of the pool for an option. Now, my pool that I measured across with a tape measure is about 16.5 meters, which isn't an option. And I thought, oh, they've got a custom one. Well, that only goes pool length 25 is the minimum it'll let you do. So that still doesn't do me any good. So that's kind of worthless to do it that way. So if I get out of there, the other option is you can do an outdoor pool. And I thought I was being clever by using this one with a GPS. And so I set my target at 20 minutes and I go across my lap pool. However, even though it says it's supposed to be checking distance, it's virtually worthless. A lot of times it's 0, sometimes it's 0.01 miles. That's just one frustration I have, is that I don't have a good way of measuring how far I swam. Oh, another thing, while this is chugging a little bit, you can just start to see that little green ring showing up in the top there. That little green mark will fill in this outer ring as you're going until you've got to your 20 minutes. So that's a quick visual that you can look at and say, how close am I to done, as opposed to just looking at the time, because you're in goggles, it's a little awkward. Also, once you get in the pool and you started the swim exercise, you can see it's on water lock, which means you can't change the screen or do anything except activate it on and off. So if you want, you have to hold this button down. It says turns off water lock. What it does is it ejects the water out of the orifices. And then from here, you can actually now go up to your heart rate, back down. It's got total strokes and all this other stuff. With the Polar, I will say that it at least tried to measure the distance I swam. The best thing for me to probably do would be to just set the length at 25 meters and just know that it's not right, but at least I would then have a comparison between one time to the next to know if I'm doing more or less.
Time for the actual swim. And here you can see how that short green ring went from that to all the way around. We turn off our water lock. Now we can swipe up. There's our heart rate monitor. We'll finish the workout. And there's our heart rate. And here's the map. However, it still says 0.00 miles. See?
Here's the map. Again, 0.0 miles, despite showing very clearly that I went back and forth a bunch of times. There's my heart rate, getting up into the little bit higher range right off the bat. Average 90, max 113.
The Polar recorded 550 meters compared to the 463 actual meters, so that's still much better than the Samsung's 0.
Max it up to 134 on this one. These are capable of determining, in theory, what stroke you're doing. However, I never do the backstroke, so I don't know what stroke that is that it's thinking I did. It's trying. And then there's the heart rate throughout that, pretty consistent. Next, let's do kayaking. It's one of my main ones. Settings, target again, workout screen. Now you notice here, it says duration, calories, and heart rate zone. It does not, however, and I don't know why, but there's no GPS. It doesn't track your distance for kayaking, which really surprises me because when I'm out on the lake, it would be nice to know that. And nice to see a little map as well. So you can do this. However, to me, what's more useful instead of that is to go to the outdoor swim feature. So with the outdoor swim feature, and there's a swimming, which is indoor, and then this specifically says swimming outdoor. And I've got a target set for 20 minutes. But if you go to your workout screen, it gives distance. So if we go to this one, and your GPS is lit up, so we tap to skip, we go here, and now because it's on swimming, you'll see this, it's the water lock.
Out to the lake.
Swimming outdoor, again, is what I use for kayak so that I could track the distance. There's my 98. And there's my map. It was a really windy day out there, so basically we got out, got blown backwards, ended up back at the car. We show on phone. Interestingly, it shows that I went 0 miles. So I'm not really sure why. Now it says 0.0 miles this time. I've done this before and had a reading, so I really don't know if it wasn't getting a GPS signal out at the lake or what's going on. That doesn't make sense because it clearly showed the path we took, but why does it say 0 miles? I don't understand that. There's the heart rate information. There's something jacked up about their tracking of the distance because it shows a path, so GPS was working. I don't know why it doesn't track that. This isn't showing. There's the swimming that we did for a kayak on the Polar watch. And the stroke gets a little bit confused because it was in a kayak. On the Polar, if we go to this, it says 25 meters is the distance. Well, that's not much better.
If you wear it into the shower, it can actually go to waterlock and start a swimming exercise session. Another annoyance was that it wasn't on waterlock one time. Someone texted me inviting me to the bar, and the watch automatically replied with a response of yes and committed on my behalf. So I'd recommend removing the watch or intentionally putting it on waterlock before going into the shower. Overall, the Samsung Watch 5 Pro is a decent product. However, I just don't like it as much as I like the Polar Ignite. I think that the graphics interface, the colors, the all-in-one screen that I get from the Polar is just way better than what the Samsung is. It's just more user-friendly, it's more appealing, it's easier to read while you're swimming or whatever else you're doing. The other things I'd like to see improved are more flexibility in the custom length of the pool for the indoor swimming feature. I'd like to see distance added for the kayak feature. And the outdoor swimming distance calculation obviously doesn't work. It tracks the GPS well enough to do a map, but it does not calculate the distance. If I were only looking for a fitness tracking watch, I would choose the Polar Ignite, as to me it's better for that purpose at a much lower cost. However, I'll continue to use the Samsung Watch 5 Pro basically because of all the other features that it offers that the Polar Ignite does not, such as in communication without needing your phone right by you, the interface with the Samsung Nutrition app, and the other things I mentioned in the biometrics video. Subscribe to my YouTube channel below and let's celebrate turning fuel and air into adrenaline!